In this video, I'll be adding a signature field to SimpleDoc. When I make the change, we'll talk about versioning. Will I revert it to test? Will I create a next test version? Then I will test the document standalone, and once that is working, I'll test it in a transaction. When that is working, I'll promote it into production. So I'm logged in, I'm in my library, accessing my documents and looking at SimpleDoc. I want to introduce a signature field to SimpleDoc. Because this is in production, I just cannot modify it. If I click on the document itself, all I can do is close the form. So now I need to create my test version. Do I revert this production version to test, or do I create the next test version? Let's talk about reverting to test. The only time I would do that is if I have a very simple change, like a typo that I'd like to fix that is already running in production. When I do that and revert to test, note that I will be affecting all production documents, and so it has to be something very simple and very quick that you can make. In my case, because I am actually adding a field, I do not want to revert to test. I want to make sure that I can test and have time to make that change. So I'm going to create the next test version. And when I click Save, you'll see that now I've got the same document, SimpleDoc. One is in production, always has, and I have created now version 2 in test. So when I modify this, I am modifying the test version. So now I'm going to add the signature field. I would like the signature field to be accessed by the client party, and I'm going to create the field. The naming convention for fields are a $, an open braces, field name, and a close braces. When I click Save, the system will run through the form and find all fields. They'll list it in the field list here. When I click on that field, I'll need to configure it. The default type is always set to general. In my particular case, it's a signature. I'd like to make it required. I do not want it to autocomplete because I want them to always enter their signature. I'll make this 20 ems wide. I'll put a border on the bottom. Let's position the label to the left with a colon and make it in a normal font. The reason why we specify the field label here is because we are tying in built-in validations, and so when I test, I'll show you what I mean. Continue to review. I get an error message when not filled, and the label is highlighted. Visually, the user can see what is missing. So that's my standalone test, and now that looks good. So now I'm ready to test it in a test transaction. So let me close this off. I'll go into the transaction template. Back to the transaction template that was created. I'll use this test URL. Open a new window and click Continue. Here's my signature field. Review, get the error. Continue to review. Look at my signature process record. Everything looks good, and I'll submit it. Now that I've verified that my test transaction is running and looking good, I'd like to promote that document into production. I'll go back into my library, into the documents, find that version. Version 2, I'll make test version production. When I do that, you'll see that now version 2 is in production. Nothing is in test. And here's my list. Version 1 is now old. And that's it. That's adding a signature field to SimpleDoc. Watch the next video where I'll add more fields to SimpleDoc. We'll add another party, we'll add another document into the package, and do some routing. Thanks for listening.